In today's video, I'm going to talk about the driving culture here in Spain, because even after 2 decades living in this country, it still shocks me on a daily basis. Now, if you already live in Spain, I'm pretty sure that you're gonna relate to a lot of the points that I talk about in this video today. And if you're thinking about traveling to Spain and hiring a car as a tourist, then stay to the end, because this video could just save you from having an accident. Okay, so let's get it out of the way. What qualifies me to discuss the things that I'm going to talk about in today's video? Well, I'm an ex-professional driver. I used to drive Class 1 articulated trucks across continental Europe. I used to drive thousands of kilometres every single week on most roads in most countries, and I would come across most different driving styles. So for that reason, I'd like to think that I know more or less how driving works. But what is frustrating from an ex-driver's perspective here in Spain is just how unpredictable the roads here are. Things that I see on a daily basis almost make it feel as if the driving culture here in Spain is lawless. Okay, so the first point I want to talk about is the use of roundabouts here in Spain, because they are completely illogical in the way they are used. Now, in most European countries, with the exception of Spain, if you enter a roundabout, let's say it's a 2-lane entry with 2 lanes running around the roundabout, you will typically find that if you want to go or take, should I say, an exit to the left at 12 o'clock, you would get in the left-hand lane and you come around the inside and then filter off for your exit. If you want to take any exit to the right of 12 o'clock, you would be in the right-hand lane. However, here in Spain, what you typically find is drivers will use the right-hand lane to go all the way around the roundabout, regardless of what exit they want to take. So what is the problem with that? Well, you're going to have drivers, and I see it at every single roundabout, not odd roundabouts, every single roundabout, where you'll have a driver in the right-hand lane that wants to go all the way around the roundabout, and you'll have a driver that comes up in the left-hand lane that wants to go straight across, and inevitably they just T-bone each other. If these two drivers were just to simply swap positions, this accident would never happen. Another thing that you'll see all the time on the roundabouts here in Spain is that the actual lane markings mean nothing. I've seen drivers enter the roundabout in the right-hand lane, cross across to the left, and then come back to the right. So again, even though there's lane markings there, they really don't mean anything at all. Now, what really qualifies this point is the fact that here in Spain, there's a Facebook group called N332. And this is a Facebook group that's run by the police. And literally weekly, they will put out videos and all sorts of posts teaching so-called qualified drivers how a roundabout should be used. Now, if that doesn't say something in itself, I don't know what does. Okay, the second point I want to discuss, and this seems to be a new phenomenon or a new cultural shift in driving patterns here in Spain, and that is drivers entering a roundabout, kind of sticking within their lane, maybe drifting onto the inside lane a little bit, and then instead of exiting the roundabout and staying in the correct lane, they're exiting directly into the overtaking lane. And this is so frustrating, particularly when then it's a car, which is to say a normal car, normal speed. Maybe I'm in a high power car, I want to nip past them, and I can't, because they're just sitting out in the outside lane, in the overtaking lane. There's nothing on the inside lane. There's nothing there whatsoever, and they're just poodling along, and you will sit behind them for 30, 60 seconds before they even think about looking in their mirror, and then realise they're holding you up so you can pass. But this is a new phenomenon that I'm seeing here, and it drives me insane. Okay, the third point is indication, or should I say the lack of indication. Now, this is one for me that I find so frustrating, and I would say 70 to 80% of the time, drivers I'm behind won't even indicate. In fact, I might even knock that number up to 90%. That is how big a problem it is here in Spain. Now, in my own country, as in many countries in Europe, if you fail to signal, you can get points on your licence and a fine for driving without due care and attention, and rightly so. However, here in Spain, indication is simply an afterthought if it happens at all. So what's a typical scenario? Well, I can be driving along a single carriageway, and all of a sudden the car in front of me will just stop. No indication to warn me that it may be stopping shortly and it may be changing direction. Nothing at all, it just stop. There'll be nothing in front of it, there'll be no crossing. You don't know what's happening. You don't know if this car's going to turn left, turn right, if it's broken down. You have no idea. So you literally sit behind them, waiting for the traffic in the opposite direction to pass, and then they'll just make their turn. It's so frustrating to have this happen daily. And like I say, 80, 90% of the time, you will have absolutely no idea what the car in front of you is going to do. If it's going to change lane, if it's going to come to a standstill, if it's anything. It just won't tell you. It won't give you any advance warning. And what actually makes this worse as well is instead of leading by example, the police do exactly the same thing. So if you are thinking of coming to Spain, be very aware of this one if you're a tourist here, because you can easily get in an accident. Just work on the assumption all the time that the car in front of you is not going to indicate. And if it is indicating, it's probably not indicating correctly. Okay, the fourth point is parking. Now, parking here, again, is as crazy as anything else that we've mentioned so far. But I think one of the ones that particularly frustrates me is people parking on crossings, pedestrian crossings, and I am not joking. I literally will sit outside a cafe maybe once or twice a week. There's one particular cafe I go to and it's right on a roundabout. They come off of the roundabout and just after the roundabout there is a crossing. And yes, this is a busy street. Parking there is difficult. But they will park on the crossing, get out of the car and come and sit and have a coffee. I've seen the police driving past and not even ticketing the vehicle. Nothing at all. So again, I don't understand the parking logic here in Spain. Crossings are there for a reason. And I'm almost sure, even though I've never taken a Spanish driving exam, I'm pretty sure that they're not designed to be used as car parks. Okay, the next one is lane hogging. Again, another one that just, I don't know, it drives me insane. Now, again, I know I'm referring back to my own country, but in my own country, again, you can get points and a fine for lane hogging. But here in Spain, it's a rite of passage. There's one particular road that annoys me more than anywhere else. It annoys me everywhere where it goes on, but in Malaga, around about maybe 10 or 15 kilometres before the airport, there's a 5-lane part of the motorway, 5 lanes. And what you will see is you'll see the inside lane, the second lane, basically empty. Nobody's in them. You'll see random cars just sitting in the 3rd and 4th lane and sometimes the 5th, but lanes 3 and 4, they're just sitting in them. What is the point of having lanes 1 and 2? So what happens inevitably is I drive as an ex-professional driver correctly, I'll overtake, I'll come into the inside lane. When I then get up behind these cars, I have to go across 4 lanes, 5 lanes, just to pass them to come back again across 4 or 5 lanes. So guys, come on, use the roads correctly, think about it logically, don't just sit in that lane and being selfish. Think about other road users, move over and sit in the correct lane. Come out when you're overtaking and then move back in. It's pretty straightforward, it's not rocket science. And that leads neatly onto the next point, which is undertaking. Now, undertaking here in Spain is at epidemic levels, and I completely understand why now. When I've sat and thought about it, it's a direct result of these lane hoggers. If you imagine you've got a dual carriageway and you've got several people just sat in that lane, they'll stay like it for kilometres after kilometre after kilometre after kilometre. They won't move over. And then inevitably what that leads to is somebody getting so frustrated, despite all their efforts of indicating and hoping that they'll check in their mirror and they'll move over to the inside lane to allow someone to overtake. What happens is they're left with no choice but to undertake, which again, of course, is dangerous and can cause an accident. But it's got to the point, this lane hogging in Spain, where the undertaking that you will see happen, like between here and say Marbella, which is a 45-minute journey, I'll probably see it happen 4 or 5 times. 4 or 5 times in one journey. Okay, this one are the complete opposites. There's 2 parts to this. It's driving with full beam on at night and driving with no headlights on. Believe it or not, there's no middle ground, which is dip beam. I have this happen to me, again, multiple times weekly when I'm driving at night. I can be driving down a single carriageway, the car coming towards me got his lights on full beam. I'll flash a couple of times to say, mate, please put your lights down, I can't see anything. Won't make a blind bit of difference. Again, whether it's just that selfish driving culture, I have no idea. But not only is it dangerous for the cars coming towards you, it's just selfish. And then the complete opposite is you will be shocked the amount of times I get stuck behind a car or a car will pass me the opposite direction in the middle of the night with no lights on whatsoever. So be aware of this one as well, because this is an accident waiting to happen, whether you're blinded or whether you simply have a car that you don't see coming towards you because they've got no lights on. Okay, the next one. It's tiring just even talking about all of these, but again, I think it's only right to discuss this, because there's a lot of subjects that people want to talk about and they won't, and I might get some stick for this, but it's a video that I think a lot of you are going to relate to. But anyway, the next point is drivers that just can't keep a straight line. Again, something that I see not once or twice when I'm out. I'm talking again, 70% of the cars. They just can't sit in a straight line, to the point where they're wandering over the centre line, they're coming back again. 2 or 3 seconds later, they're wandering right over it and they're coming back again. I just don't understand it, because again, I don't see these cars getting pulled over, because if they were getting pulled over, there wouldn't be any cars on the road, because literally this is how people drive here in Spain. It's absolutely crazy. I literally look at these cars when I'm behind them and I think to myself, if I was a traffic officer, if I was the police, I'd be pulling this guy over because he's undoubtedly drunk. But again, I don't think they are drunk. I think that's just the driving style here in Spain. It's almost as if the centre lane markings are magnetic, because the cars just constantly go towards them. So be aware of this one as well if you're a tourist coming here, because the first few times you see it, you're going to swear blind that the person in front of you is drunk, and the chances are they're not. It's just how they drive here. Next up is the lack of mirror usage. I just don't think it happens here in Spain. Now, again, back in the UK, we have this term, mirror signal manoeuvre. Yeah, you check your mirrors, you then make your signal, you then make your turn. But here in Spain, as I've already said, indication doesn't exist. It is simply manoeuvre, no mirror signal manoeuvre. And that is so apparent when you're out on the roads here, because the amount of times cars will just cut in front of you. So again, guys, please start using your mirrors. Have a look, be aware of what's around you. As an ex-professional driver, one of the things I remember when I was taking my professional licence was I would be asked every few minutes, what's the colour of the car behind, what's the make and model of it? And I had to answer the question without looking in the mirrors. That's something you should be able to do at all times. You should always know what car is behind you, what car is beside you, always, at all times. And if you can't, you're simply not using your mirrors enough. Okay, another one that you will notice when you drive in Spain is how difficult it is to merge onto dual carriageways or motorways. It's really, you have to drive very defensive here in Spain to be able to get onto a road that you want to join, because cars in Spain simply won't move over. They won't allow you to merge. Now, the whole point of a slip road in an ideal scenario is that you use a slip road to gain speed, so that when you hit the dual carriageway or the motorway that you're trying to merge onto, you're travelling at the same speed as the traffic already on it. But here in Spain, they will let you just sit at a standstill at the bottom. They won't move over for you to merge. So if you're one of those drivers in Spain and you can move over, just move over. It's safer for everybody. Okay, and the last point I want to leave you with is the usage of phones while driving. It's got to the point in Spain now, and I genuinely mean this, where I'm actually shocked if I see someone driving without a phone in their hand. That's the kind of level it's got to. So guys, if you're one of those people who use your phone while you're driving, please just stop. I can guarantee you that whatever you're doing on your phone while you're driving is not so important that it can't wait until you get where you're going. Okay guys, I'm going to draw the video to a close, but I think it's important to say that the Spanish road network here isn't inherently dangerous, but from an ex-professional driver's perspective, driving habits and culture here in Spain certainly make it unpredictable and chaotic. The key to driving here in Spain is to anticipate and stay alert. Despite all of this, would I live anywhere else? Well, of course I wouldn't. I love Spain. Let me know in the comments, have you driven in Spain? And if so, what was your experience? I'd love to know how you got on. Anyway, guys, if you've enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a like, hit that hype button. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's absolutely free to do. It won't cost you a penny, but it really helps this channel to grow. Anyway, enjoy whatever you're doing for the rest of the day, and I'll catch you in the next one.